Hello. So last time we discussed about the space jockeys and some brief information about their origins and what they did and how they connected to the engineers. So today we're going to explore the engineers, purely on engineers, what they did, what they researched, and how they evolved, and some special abilities about them. All right. So, in the early stages of the production and development of the Prometheus, the writers, they were about three to four script writers just for the film, they devised a master narrative that encapsulated the origin and mythology of the engineers. Some of the things which we are about to discuss may seem unconventional, but since it's featured in the documentary, the official documentary, it remains one of the most credible and possible sources to bridge all the gaps between the inconsistencies. All right. So here's the paragraphs. Their civilization predates humanity by millions of years. Once engineers expressed themselves much like humans, finding joy in music, color, and storytelling. However, over time they transcended such expressions, learning to perceive dimensions beyond human comprehension. Their art and symbol exist on planes imperceptible to human senses, making their constructions appear dark and ominous to us. Yet, to their eyes, these structures radiate vibrant patterns of meaning invisible to us mere mortals. The next excerpt from the master narrative reinforces ideas hinted at in earlier drafts. Usual engineers live for nearly 100,000 years. Long ago, their species abandoned sex and gender, adopting abstract methods of reproduction. In recent millennia, however, they have ceased reproducing altogether. I guess forced evolution in one direction kind of just gave away their previous abilities. So, this setup here aligns closely with the earlier draft script written by David Lindelof. And again, it suggested the same thing that engineers are ancient beings with heavy lifespans. It also supports the idea that they lost the ability to reproduce naturally and instead resorted to alternative methods to sustain their lineage, maybe because they thought that this was low level and they wanted more cleaner and divine form of reproduction. So, in the draft script, the engineers took the help of the blood of the first deacon, the mysterious black substance showcased in the waterfall scene we saw in the opening scene of Prometheus, and they used it to recreate themselves. Yes, it comes with the sacrifice of the parent, the host. So we'll circle back to this concept again later in the discussion. So these revelations also provide a logical explanation for David's quick mastery of the engineer technology. Now, being an android, he possessed the heightened sensory capabilities and all the sensors installed on him, which enabled him to interpret hidden patterns embedded within the engineer's designs. Patterns invisible to us humans. The ingenious ability to perceive expanded spectrums of reality is symbolized by their dark reflective eyes, suggesting they operate on a high visual and cognitive frequency. This detail clarifies why their temple in Prometheus was adorned with textures and inscriptions that only David could decode, a machine could decode. The master narrative further emphasizes that the creative team behind the Prometheus sought to introduce bold and original ideas, concepts that risked departing from the established alien and xenomorph lore, venturing into uncharted territory. Now, these concepts could have been really wonderful to watch, but Ridley Scott was criticized for the lack of xenomorphs, and we all know the rest. So let's have a look at some of the religious themes and the fall of humanity as to why the engineers hated us. So Ridley Scott and the writers deliberately sought to merge science and technology with religious symbolism, as evident in the reference to Jesus and the deity analogy depicted in the mural of the deacon. So in the early stages of human evolution, the engineers regularly visited Earth, seemingly drawn to humanity's similarities and the potential for growth. Yes, they were our own creators. They created us using the black goo, and we were one of the successful batches. So they intended to impart and pass down their knowledge gained by generations of research to accelerate human advancement in fields like science, faster than light space travel, biological engineering, tools that could have drastically altered the course of our civilization. However, this grand plan was abruptly abandoned as the engineers bore witness to humanity's violence, warfare, and self destruction over the years. So they became disillusioned, realizing that humans' barbaric tendencies might pose a greater threat than an opportunity to impart them and bless us with all the knowledge. So this disillusionment and discrepancies echoed in a crucial subplot. The engineers took a child born of human mother, taught him their ways, and sent him back to resurrect humanity. But humanity rejected him, condemning him and eventually crucifying him. Yes, this is about Jesus. So, this event marked a turning point, prompting the engineers to study humanity's violent nature in an attempt to understand its origins and why we are the way we are. So one such base was built on LV-426, while later experiments tied to Prometheus occurred on LV-223. Again, the initial decision was to include LV-426, but they went ahead with the LV-223. The research aimed to isolate the gene responsible for violence and aggression. The result of these experiments was successful, as they were successful in isolating the gene, but they created horrific mutation as an end result, culminating in feral creatures with one purpose: to kill humans and other competing life forms. Yes, this I'm explaining specifically to the behavior of the mutation we see in Five-Field, his transformation in Prometheus, and this further laid down the foundation for xenomorph like beasts. The engineer sacrifice depicted in the opening scene of Prometheus was an abstract reproduction ritual. The engineers tested this method and found Earth's biosphere ideal for seeing life due to its biochemical compatibility with their own biology. The black liquid used in the ritual was derived from the blood of the deacon, a non acidic substance capable of influencing cellular biochemistry. Draft scripts revealed that engineers who had already lost the ability to procreate once impregnated an engineer with a deacon embryo. Upon Deacon's birth and the engineer's death, they discovered the Deacon's unique properties and used its blood as a key ingredient for their reproductive experiments, allowing them to seed worlds and continue their genetic legacy. The Deacon's origin, its biological makeup, and the symbolism of the engineer sacrifice warrant a deeper exploration, and we'll cover this in the future discussion. Returning to the master narrative, the engineers ultimately envisioned themselves on the verge of transcendence, a monumental evolutionary leap that would allow them to shed physical form and exist as beings of pure energy, traversing the 10-dimensional multiverse. This concept not only challenges our perception of biology and technology, but also hints at metaphysical aspirations, further blurring the lines between science fiction and theology. While their ambitions suggest enlightenment, their hubris led to catastrophic failures manifested in their inability to control the black goo mutations and the creations and the rise of the biological weapons that ultimately consumed them. We see David using the same black goo pathogen to destroy the whole race on the planet Paradise. Whether this was a karma effect or revenge, which David kind of understood their plans to destroy humanity, we don't know exactly. But I'm not going to say David is on our team. That guy just does whatever he wants. So, my final thoughts: the master narrative paints the engineers as cosmic architects, benevolent creatures turned destroyers who sought to uplift humanity but fell victim to their own experiments and their false pride. Their legacy leaves us grappling with profound questions about the nature of creation, the ethics of genetic engineering, and the limits as to how much can they sustain as to what they have created, and whether their aspirations ever come to fruition or ended in self-inflicted annihilation. Now, again, there's no sense of ethics and morality here. I mean, we gotta see some more description, more detail into the engineer's backstory. We need a proper movie, or at least Ridley Scott and the team must create a proper series, a spin off series, or whatever series, and then come up with the idea of sequels and prequels. We need a huge backstory into to connect all the dots, the space jockeys and the engineers, and almost every single thing. The origin of humanity and before the origin of humanity, what we had. So that's all. Thank you so much for joining.